Hi everyone, we've got another Q&A for you on the channel, which is basically code for Hamish is away on holiday again, which is certainly the case this time. I thought for this Q&A we would actually come to Celtic Park. The main reason being just to show that it's still here. I haven't been here since Trophy Day. I dare say, that'll be when you were last here. Maybe it's longer than that. This video should probably have like an 18 tag or a not for kids or whatever. Because Celtic Park is naked, it has no clothes on. The banners have gone, as you can see there, and it looks very different. Less good, I would say, but I would certainly hope that by the time we next play here against Blackburn Rovers in, I think, 2 and a bit weeks, that they would have some sort of new banners up. Certainly in time for the Aberdeen game to make the stadium look a bit better. It does kind of bring into focus the job that those amazing Paradise banners did and all the Celtic legends around the outskirts of the stadium, because it doesn't look quite as nice as it did before. I mean, don't get me wrong, the front of the stadium looks terrific. They've got those champions, we never stop stuff up. They've got the banners up on the main stand as well, and it is looking good at the front, but we need those banners around the rest of the stadium. But everything's fine here, and yeah, no sign of any players coming in or anything like that. And we just thought we'd do something on location for you today, just to, as I say, let you all know that Celtic Park is still here and it's ready for the new season. Now, Q&A wise, in terms of the ones that we got in, we're going to start with Patrick67, who's asking, who do you think is worth the most in this Celtic team? And it's quite a difficult debate. I was kind of racking my brains earlier in terms of who the players would be that I think would go for most money. I think the basic question is, who would you sell for the most money this summer? And probably Josip Juranovic or Kyogo were the two that came to my mind, which is probably a little bit concerning. I think we do have a number of players that will go for far more money in the future. I think the likes of Matt O'Reilly and Reo Hatate will probably go for the most money out of all the Celtic players, but not at this stage. I think they would need to do it in the Champions League first, which I think they both will do. We do have a lot of players that will go for 10, 15 million, upwards of that. But in terms of players right now that would sell, I would say probably Kyogo, if he was to go this window, just in terms of what he did last season, the fact he's a Japan international, the fact that he's clearly so classy, but Juranovic probably just behind him. Hopefully we don't find out any of these answers this window anyway, and those players can stick with us. Next question, James Dunn. Seeing Scotland is out of the World Cup, thanks for reminding me there, who is your tip to win it? I feel like we may be due a South American winner of the World Cup. I don't think we've had one since 2002. It's all been European teams: Italy, Spain, Germany, France. Basically all the major nations in Europe apart from a certain one. But I think we might be due a South American winner. I'd love to see Argentina do it. Leo Messi in what will be his last World Cup. Brazil, I think, are a good side as well. Feels like a very open World Cup this time round. It feels like anyone of the top maybe 7-8 nations in the world could win it. Europe's going to be strong again. Belgium, France, Germany, England, Spain, Portugal. Notably not Italy, and I think Argentina, Brazil, those are the usual contenders, and it'll probably come out of one of them. In terms of who I'm supporting, I know you're not asking that, but any chance to get it across, I am supporting the following at the World Cup: Australia, yay; Japan, terrific; Croatia, for obvious reasons, although I'll maybe hold that one until or see if Juranovic remains at the club. I certainly hope that he will. And Wales. I have a great affinity with Wales. Right, Emerald Abroad. Jota and Bernabeu will be unveiled on Friday. Wow, ITK. My question is, what will you be talking about on Saturday? Well, I may have mentioned this already in the video, but I'm actually on holiday, so I will be talking about what lounger and what boozer I'm going to find to sit and relax or lie and relax on my holidays. There's no video coming out on Saturday. We will have a live one on Sunday with John and I believe Stevie as well, so we're going to have stuff going out while I'm away. But in terms of Saturday, it will be very much non-Celtic things that I am talking about. Aaron Black, how do you think we will fare in the Champions League if Ange gets his signings in? I think Celtic will be far more competitive than people realise. I think the obvious thing is to when you think of the way Ange is going to play and the fact he's going to attack teams, the obvious thing to do is to compare it to Brendan Rodgers. It didn't work at all for him in the Champions League. Yes, we finished third in one of the seasons, but basically only because Anderlecht were so bad, and even they beat us here at Celtic Park. I think it's going to be different under Ange. I think the defence, if we keep Juranovic and bring in Bernabei, is going to be much stronger than it was at any point under Brendan Rodgers in the Champions League. I know we had Tierney, but other than that, the keeper I don't think was as good. The centre-backs probably weren't as strong as Carter Vickers and Julian. So I think Celtic will be stronger defensively. I think there's a chance we'll probably score in most games, even up against the best teams in Europe. It's all just going to be about those big moments. Conceding one goal and not conceding 1-2 more goals in quick succession. We did that a lot in the Europa League last season. Leverkusen, we're 2-1 up with 8 minutes to go and we don't even get a draw out of that game. We're 2-0 up away to Real Betis and concede 4. I think we conceded 4 in relatively quick succession, or certainly 2 in quick succession and then another 2 in quick succession. I think it's all about being solid defensively in those moments. I think we've got more than enough quality to score goals in these games. But let's face it, when you're up against the best teams in Europe, sometimes even being strong defensively isn't enough. So I think it's just going to be really exciting. I'm not one of these people who says, we're there, let's just enjoy every minute. I think, like a lot of you, hopefully, we want to try and get into the last 16 of the Champions League. I know that's an incredibly ambitious target, but if we get a favourable group, let's give it a go. Ange will certainly be thinking that way. And if we don't manage that, certainly third place should be something we're aiming for in Europa League football after Christmas. I'm not one of those people that says, we should just be here and enjoy it. But equally, we're in it and we've not been in there for a few years, so let's enjoy it. That's me just summed up in this channel. Says one thing and then says the complete opposite a second later. Right, moving on. Sunya, Hamish, you do a great job with 67HH. Thanks very much, Sunya. My question is, how did you get started, son? Right, basically, and I think I've told this story maybe a couple of times on the channel, I, without completely boring you, I did sports journalism at uni. That's what I wanted to do. I then moved into the couple of jobs actually, and then moved into 67 Hail Hail to work with the likes of John, David, a few other people as well. I was writing on the website at first. It's a really good website actually. It's probably got better since I left, to be honest, but basically we had been doing a YouTube channel kind of sporadically, to be honest. We did a couple of videos a week. You may remember the channel if you're a real long-term viewer. We then, when the god-awful pandemic hit and football shut down for a few months, we thought we'd try out on YouTube fully. So I was put on there full-time videos every single day. And in fact, I didn't actually start out every single day, but when it kind of grew arms and legs, we started doing match reactions live. We added Jackie, then we added Scott a season later. We did interviews, all of that stuff. It just kind of became what you see at the moment. And obviously it's all down to all of you that have grown the channel. And I don't just say that as a kind of humble remark. Like it genuinely is that the growth has been down to all of you. And I know that all of us are really, still quite surprised that so many people tune into our videos every single day. I know I joked the other day about the fact some people had switched off over the summer, but our numbers were great over the summer when Celtic were not even been mentioned by most kind of mainstream outlets. So big thanks to that. That's a wee bit of my story, and hopefully a long way to go on the channel. Next one in from SMA or SMA. Visiting Glasgow for the first time in August and hoping to get a Celtic ticket. What are good places to go before and after the match? Now, my own personal boozers of choice tend to be, we'll call them establishments, tend to be in the Merchant City. I just think that's a nice area of Glasgow. It's kind of the Celtic Park side of Glasgow, and you can walk to Merchant City in about just over half an hour, I think, from Celtic Park after games. Saves you getting into trouble with trains and buses and all that nonsense. And there's a good few pubs in the Merchant City. I would say that Connolly's is usually where I would go before the games. It's quite a small pub, but always packed for Celtic matches, before Celtic matches, after Celtic matches. You don't wait long to be served either. Murphy's just right next to it is good as well. They're a bit more spacious downstairs. Connolly's my number one, Murphy's number two. In fact, that's a lie, because I'm legally obliged to say that Babbity Bowster is, for me, the best pub in Glasgow. And in terms of the whole package, drinks, nice atmosphere, food, it really is brilliant. And you have the off chance of running into us on a Celtic match day as well if we're in there recording. So Babbity Bowster, number one, Connolly's number two, and Murphy's number three. But as always, like other people, I'm sure will let you know in the comments about what places to go. As I say, I stick to the Merchant City. There's loads down there. Elsewhere in Glasgow, loads of good Celtic pubs, loads of non-Celtic pubs that are pretty good as well. But in terms of me, it's the Merchant City. Right, next one, Shay or will Stevie buy the new training gear or stick last year's body warmer? I think we all know the answer to that. He'll do both. I'm just looking over at the Celtic Superstore. He's been in there since Tuesday morning. Still no sign of him. I don't know what he's buying in there, but I think he'll definitely come out with a lot of gear when he eventually does. Darth Listless 87, assuming we clear out players like Sorrow, Ayeti, Bolly, etc., how would you reassign their kit numbers to current active players? For example, I think number 23 for Ralston would be cool, since he already wears that number for the Scottish national squad. So Albion Ayeti is 10, Sorrow is 12, Bolly is 23, and Chris Julian, if we want to add him into that as well, is 2. Straight away, number 2, Anthony Ralston. I would think about Josip Juranovic. I think he'd really suit 2 if he didn't already have number 88. And number 88 just looks, far better on him. It's iconic, some would say. So we'll stick with 88 for Juranovic and give Ralston number 2 if he fancies it. It's weird because we actually have a lot of players whose numbers are pretty iconic. I mean, if you're getting rid of Ayeti, you've got number 10 freed up. Kyogo may be a decent number 10. But no, 8 is just fitting for Kyogo. That will always be his number at Celtic, I would hope. And it's so weird because you couldn't really find, 2 more different players than Kyogo and the guy who wore number 8 before him, Scott Brown. Totally different players, but they both just suited number 8. 12 should always be a reserve keeper for me, so I'd give that to Ben Siegrist, but he has 31. That's not going to change for all the millions of people that have bought Siegrist 31 in the back of their Celtic goalkeepers' tops. Can you imagine the uproar if Celtic gave him number 12? 23 is actually my favourite number, a bit of knowledge about me there. I always remember Stan Varga wearing it, so maybe we'll give that to one of our best players. But no, I think the numbers are pretty good at the moment. The answer is bring in new signings and give them those numbers. Right, Eddie Quigley, at the end of this transfer window, what would make it perfect for you, Hamish? Keeping hold of all of our important first team players is number 1 above anything else. Number 2, assuming that we sign Jota and Bernabei, maybe, hopefully those deals have been confirmed by the time you're watching this. I'd like to add another centre back. I'd like to add a central midfielder as well, and a forward. And if I'm being really greedy, possibly a right winger as well. I just think Abada, Forest, maybe we could do with someone else there. I know Jota can play out there on the right, so maybe we're all right. But as I say, if I'm being greedy, that's what I would want. And I think that's another 5. So Jota, Bernabei, centre back, centre mid, forward, and winger. That's 6. So that'd be a total of 8, which would be pretty crazy. Not sure we'll get 8. I certainly think we'll get 7 though. I've got full belief that we'll be left very happy come the end of the window, and maybe not even the end of the window. I mean, maybe like a week and a half before the end of the window, we'll have all these players in. Just hope we can keep a hold of all of our key players, particularly Juranovic. Rabbi Boy 1888, have you or any of the older contributors, hear that, John, Stevie? Older. Anyway, have any of the older contributors or yourself trusted a Celtic manager more than you trust Ange? No, I trust him completely. I know sometimes on the channel we are, well, not sometimes, all the time we are very pro-Ange, and maybe some people think sometimes, it's a bit too much for me. He is human, he will make mistakes, but I just think he's got a vision for where he wants to take this Celtic team that I don't think me or you even know yet. And I think for me that's one of the most exciting things about this whole project. Ange knows what he wants to do and where he wants to take the team. And I don't think many other people, certainly outside of that bubble at Celtic, will will know that. And I just think, as I say, that's massively exciting. I've been so impressed with the noises coming out of Celtic since we won the league. And, last season's going to take a lot of beating in terms of excitement, enjoyment, great moments. But I think we're going to give it a pretty good run this year for its money. I think it's going to be another incredible season. I think we're going to continue the growth of this team, the evolution of this team. Massively, massively exciting. On that note, I will say goodbye. Tomorrow we will have an interview with a guy who knows Ange pretty well. His name is Ante Milicic. He was one of Ange's coaches with the Socceroos for a good few years. He's got loads of stories on Ange. Really interesting on how Ange approached him. He didn't really have much of a relationship with Ange prior to working with him, and one day he just got a phone call from Ange. In fact, I tell a lie, it was a text. And I just think with the whole Harry Kewell stuff, there's certain similarities there. So we're going to chat about all of that with Ante tomorrow. He goes in depth on Ange's team talks, which we all know are incredible, but you get to find out more about the kind of stuff Ange uses and says in team talks. Do you think he practiced them at home?
He has to, because you can't deliver that largest. And you know what? There's always a message, there's always a theme, and he always gets you.
Yeah.
Always gets you.
So that's going to drop on the channel tomorrow. In terms of current issues, I dare say there'll be a lot happening over the next few days. John and, as I say, I think Stevie will be there on Sunday for a live show. Not exactly sure what time. We're talking lunchtime, maybe 1 o'clock, but check out John and Stevie's Twitter feeds for that. They will have plenty to chat about, while I will have my feet up. Have I mentioned that I am on holiday? You won't know that though. Chat to you tomorrow.